get there, we would meet up with, let's say, a friend of yours from middle school, and you meet up, and you gave that quick, and I didn't know exactly what it was, but it was kind of like, Justin's cool. Like, it was like, a little bit of like, don't worry, Justin's cool. Like, tell me how that must be a Black community thing, because it's not a thing. And what is that? Explain it to me. Explain it to us.
Yeah, so I guess that's kind of maybe, have you heard the term like code switching before?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of a way to be like, hey man, you don't need to put on no front or
Mm-hmm.
say things that we only say
Yeah.
amongst each other. It's like, nah, he's in here. You let N bombs or whatever
Yeah.
fly. Like you let your full you express your natural you. You don't have to put this filter on. So I think it's like a get right to it. Like, hey man, talk to me like it's just me and you. Like just because it's someone else here. Like, nah, you can say whatever you want to say. So yeah, it's just a quick check in on be your real self, man. Don't front because this other person's here.
Okay. Okay. Because I remember, we just take it back. I remember when I helped you move, and I believe it was your uncle and your grandpa were there. And I
Yep, yep.
rolled up, and you're like, Justin's cool, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like, this is your uncle's name is Keezy, is that right, or
Keezy, yeah.
Keezy? And then I think your granddad, you said call him Holmes, and
Yeah, yeah. His first name was actually John, but Holmes, always Holmes. That's
and
it.
and you're like, oh, Justin, cool. And it's like, oh, call me Keezy, call me Holmes. And I'm like, I don't know if I can call my elders like. I was just the whole time I was like, hey, I need help lift it. Jeremy, can you help me lift this? Because I just don't want to say yell because I'm feeling like I just don't, I'm like I don't feel I'm not sure I can call a grown up like I'm used to because I was used to saying Mr. This, Mr. I would always call your mom Miss Holmes, right? Like I would,
Yeah.
right, and then it's like oh call me Holmes. I'm like I don't know if I can do that.
I mean, you could have called him Mr. Holmes, and
I
everyone would have
know.
been like, okay, like it's weird, but if you want to do it, man, yeah, like Keezy, let's make it. It's already like less formal because his real name was Anthony, which I've
Okay.
never called him that
Yeah.
ever in life, and he's like,
Yeah.
all right, what up, Keezy? Right, like I don't even really even call him Unc. I
Yeah.
don't think even it's just like, yeah, we write to it on the names, man. But yeah, just one of those like, hey, he's part of the fam. Me and you, like, yeah, he's part of the fam. That's uncle, granddad, Keezy, Holmes. All right, now let's move this stuff. We just keep it moving and keep it light.
Well, I hear you, man. Because my dad's family's Indian, and with my wife, we have all like his brothers and all these relatives, and Indians too. You can call everybody uncle, auntie, and there's all these different names and all these nicknames. And she's just like, "Hey, what do I call him?" I'm like, "I'll just call him uncle." She's like, "No, that's not." I'm not just like I'm not just calling every Indian male older than me uncle. Like, you gotta give me. Well, I'm like, oh, call him Vivu Bappa. She's like, okay, so uncle, right? Uncle, you were going right. Like I don't want to do that, So it's always it's one of those things too in that community. But I hear you. But I remember that Keezy was like oh. But like Justin's cool. I'm like, I think I'm like medium cool. Like I don't think I'm cool. I'm not sure.
All
Um,
right.
well, that takes me back. I remember that day because that was like is it when you move with someone? That's when you're friends. When it's like, hey, I'm moving. Who
Mm-hmm.
shows up? And you're like, well, tell me about. Have you ever had that experience? Like you're moving and then it's like someone doesn't show up. You're like, oh, okay, we were kind of hangout friends. Like just now we both
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, it's like, hey man, we were not. It's that you're like, okay, you're not a ride or die for me. Like
Yeah.
you'll ride,
Yeah,
but
you'll
you damn
ride.
sure ain't on the die
you're
side.
certainly you're certainly gonna
All right.
you're certainly
And
gonna ride.
it's fun. Actually, I had an experience like that with someone who I thought I worked with. I thought, oh, we're not just work friends; we are friends. Like
Yeah.
we travel together on
Yeah.
like trips. Like, oh yeah, let's go party in Miami, whatever. All right, cool. Get a big suite, whatever. And then when she left the company, I'm like, all right, cool. She only stays like mile and a half away. Like, hey, let's meet up, get some coffee, drinks. Silence, silence.
Yeah.
And then, hey, are you alive? Like, is something happened to you? And then it was one of those last ones, like, okay, again, are you alive? And then had a realization, like, oh, we weren't friends. I guess we were actually work friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay, well, keep it pushing, but not how I thought it was gonna go down.
Bro, I tell you, with work thing. I remember once on the flip side of that, when I was leaving Microsoft, and I was going to my next job at a company called Homeway, which I don't work for now, so I can mention the name. And there was this guy I worked with. I always thought we were work friends. He was a nice guy. I believe he was, Chinese American, born in China. And he's like, hey, I was going to my party. Hey, you want to come? It's like, yeah, I'll come. And so he's like, hey, do you mind if I perform a stand-up comedy routine at your going away party? And I was like, I'm definitely here for it. Like I'm I'm 10,000% here for this, right? And so he comes, he's like, oh, are you really comfortable with this? And I was like, absolutely. And he gets up in front of like 30, 40 people and he roasts me. And he says to me, he said, we really got to congratulate Justin on becoming a VP at a Fortune 5,000 company. And it brought the house down. And I remember at that, I'm like, this is the guy I'm going to keep in touch with. Like, he put that thought into it. He had like a 3 to 5 minute roast, and not every joke hit, but some did. And I was like, and I asked him, I was like, have you ever done stand-up comedy before? That was really good. And he's like, no, I always wanted to, and I've always wanted to roast you. And I was like,
I'm like, well, let's just dig in on this always wanted to roast you comment here. But, good enough. That was pretty good.